All right, and welcome back. This is episode 4 of our little mini series here on A Fishing State of Mind. We are going to be talking about know what you are targeting. So that's know what you are targeting. And basically what I mean by this is when you go to the reef, you want to fish for reef fish. You don't want to be fishing, for some sort of other fish, whether it be an inshore fish or an offshore fish. You don't want to be going after mahi when you're at the reef. You don't want to be going after redfish when you're at the reef. So the fish I usually target when I'm at the reef, and I mean really target, the ones I really want to catch are yellowtail. And this is me personally. There are a lot of fish at the reef. You can catch a lot of different fish, but these are the ones I like to catch when I'm fishing it. Yellowtail, mutton, snapper, lane if I'm at a patch reef, mangroves if I'm at a patch reef, grouper, triggerfish, and depending on the year, mackerel when we're out there. Mackerel don't seem to always be there, but when they are, they're one of the most fun fish you catch. They school up great. They hit the live bait. It's just an absolute awesome time. But so in a general idea, we are going to be talking about kind of all these fish and just targeting them and what we're doing at a new spot. When I get to a new spot, what I typically do. So again, here I am, or we are, or whoever's on the boat, right? We're gonna put our little stick figure man again. Again, he's gonna be happy, and he's gonna be really happy now because he's going to have his fishing line in the water. He's got his little bait on there, and little chunked piece of shrimp or whatever he's got. And again, we got our little structure with our fish here, and we got our anchor, and we're properly anchored, and we got our fish. And again, this isn't to scale, and I am definitely not the world's best artist. All right, and those could be anything, any type of snapper or grouper, and they're hanging out there. And our guy's got his pulling the water. Now, when I get to a new spot and I'm fishing the reef and I haven't fished it before, I will typically chum. Again, this is why anchoring up is so important with that current, because just like that fishing line going down, your chum is going to go with the current, and you want that chum to go in at the fish. Right? And the idea is to get these fish here at the bottom to go, oh boy, look at that. There's something really good there. I want to go eat it, and you want to get them to come up. All right. So when I chum, and it's my first time at a spot, now there's a lot of different types of chum nets out there. You're going to see them. You got, ones with big holes, ones with, well, let's make this, ones with real small holes, and that's the entire thing. I'm not going to draw it all out there completely, and every size in between. Now, what I do personally, new spot, first time at a spot, I will get a chum bag, tie it to the side of my boat, and I use, so this is me personally, I am using the Tournament Blue chum. Again, that's Tournament Blue. They got all sorts of stuff out there. They got Tournament Green, they got Mako, they got stuff you can buy at Publix. Again, it's really preference. I like Tournament Blue. I buy it by the case, put it in the freezer. Usually go through, if it's just me and I'm fishing a full day, usually go through about 4 boxes of the chum, and I'll have a pretty good day. We can definitely limit out on 4 boxes of chum. And this stuff isn't necessarily cheap, right? A case of it's probably about $60. So cost and everything else comes into play. So again, I'm not putting 3, 4, 5 these things in, these boxes in at a time. You know, you'll see the commercial guys out there and they're just absolutely hammering it, and you're like, man, how are they getting all those fish up at the back of the boat? I guarantee you they're chumming, and they're chumming big time. They probably got, you know, 10, 15 types of chum out there. So that's first thing, I'm putting the box of chum on. Now, the second thing you can do when you're at a new spot is you can use the sand balls or the chum balls, depending on who you are. People call them all different things. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to take a box of that chum, or at least this is what I do. I take 1 box of the chum, I put in a 5-gallon bucket. I mix in some sand, some fish oil, and some oats. I get that really nice. And what you'll do is, once you get a good consistency, you don't want it too runny, don't want it too thick, but again, you want to make it just right. You'll pack it together almost like a snowball. You just toss it in. So our guy's got a snowball there in his hand now, and he's just going to toss that in, and that's his chum ball. And what that does is that will actually sink to the bottom, and if you've done it right, it'll break up as it goes down and actually help bring your fish in. Now, I really only do this if I'm fishing grouper and I want them to get out from underneath the structure a little bit. It definitely helps pull them out from underneath the structure there so they're not taking your lines underneath. Or if I'm fishing a new spot, want to see what's in the water column, see if I can't get some fish there. And again, like we were talking about earlier, these different fish sit at different levels of the water column and will come up to different levels of the water column. So it is important when you're fishing to really look at what we got. And so we're going to talk about that now. What I mean here is we got our guy again, he's still fishing, right? And we're targeting, we're chumming, we're doing everything right. We got our thing down here, the fish are hanging out, right? We're marked in the right spot, our guy's nice and happy. But when you're chumming, what that's really going to draw in is your yellowtail snapper. That's what I tell people. You're trying to get the yellowtail snapper close to the boat to catch yellowtail. But, so we'll pretend these are yellowtail here, and we'll pretend we're doing a good job and these guys are headed up. Once you get them up, you're probably going to get some bellyhoo up here, right? They'll be sitting. You might get some big mackerel back here. They're a topwater fish, so they're going to be at, I don't want to say topwater, it's a little bit incorrect, but they're feeding at the top. They hang out at the top a lot more than these yellowtail do. You'll get some mutton snapper. I tell people, you know, once you start chumming, if you're doing it correctly, the mutton snapper are probably hanging out in the middle of the water column to the top of the water column, but they're hanging out way back here. You know, they'll be hanging out 40 to 50 feet at least or more behind the boat. Or more behind the boat. But these yellow snapper, they'll come up, or yellowtail snapper will come up just 10 feet behind the boat. And you'll be able to see them out there. You'll be able to see the mackerel, you'll be able to see the yellowtail snapper. Ideal world, you know, you'll get these big trigger fish too that are coming in. And you know, they got the trigger on the back, so we'll give them a little trigger. But these guys will come up, and they'll just float around in your chum line. And they'll come in here. So you really got to be paying attention to what you got, because you'll have bait fish back here with the mackerel and the mutton snapper feeding off the bait fish. You'll have yellowtail coming up to your chum, and there's different ways to catch all these different guys. So again, you really got to know what you're targeting. And on the next one, we're going to be talking about gearing up for a new spot and how to target these guys, and what I do personally when I'm at a new spot, and specifically what I'm going after and the gear I'm using to catch each type of these fish.